Hey, welcome back everyone. So in today's video, I'll be drawing Spider-Gwen and talking about the process for drawing traditionally and then converting that to digital art. So in this one, I'll be using the Procreate app, but first I'm going to draw this on paper using Strathmore 300 series. I'm using a parallel plotter to give myself some grid lines. I do this for a lot of faces really, but mainly when I'm trying to capture symmetry. I wanted this straight on shot to the face. So for that, I always need more guides. So with those guides in place, I can now try to figure out placement of the eyes, pinpoint any distortions in the head shape. And so I'm constantly trying to pinpoint areas that I know I struggle with, even turning the artwork upside down, which actually does help. But if you notice here, I'm really trying to line up those eyes, but I can already start to see that there's a little bit of distortion there. It's just something that's common in my work. The bad thing is I don't see it as much until I actually flip the work. So working traditionally, I take a picture with my phone, I flip it, and that's when I realize I have a serious case of crooked face. So I go in there and try to fix it. Again, it's things that are repetitive within my work. Slanting of the face, the eyes, on and on. Now, really it's just one side or the other. And I talked about this in other videos just recently where it's just basically the mechanics of our hands for the most part. But it's good to be aware of it and then try to hedge it off and correct it as you go. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share this video with you on converting to digital art, because there's a lot of benefits for that to fix those areas. And let me reiterate, I don't mean convert to digital art entirely. I mean utilizing the benefits of both. I always love sketching on paper, and there's certain aspects of it that I just can't mimic in digital. There's a different feeling, a different energy, but if you can use them together, like lately I've really been enjoying sketching on paper, then taking it to digital. And then there's many artists that like to do that in reverse. Start with the digital, print it out on Strathmore, some paper you like, with a light gray or blue line, and then pencil and or ink traditionally. And the beauty of that is you're getting the power of the tools to fix, symmetry issues, distortions, quicker layouts, things like that. But then you're still ending up with that original art for your comic conventions. So that's really probably the way I need to maneuver all this. But again, I'm just kind of testing the waters, trying new things, and ultimately just trying to find what allows me to stay creative and get me the best results for the shortest amount of time, or reasonable amount of time, I should say. So the drawing process felt good overall. I did start to struggle with the hair. Another thing that I sometimes get on the first or second try, and then sometimes I have to redraw it 3 or 4 times. I don't know what it is about hair. It drives me nuts. But it's usually patterns that I just have to find and find a flow to it. But yeah, it's always one of those constant battles. Like, oh no, I forgot how to draw hair again. And that's really when I kind of started to think, oh, I could fix that in digital as well. And I guess that's a little bit of a drawback to utilizing these together, is because then you're like, well, I could just take the easy out and go fix that in the digital or post-processing or whatever. But at the same time, that is the way it is for most most art endeavors, working commercially and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that you realize you can fix in different levels and stages of the work. Likewise, I could have just fixed this with traditional inks as well. But generally, if I'm not feeling the flow of a particular design that I'm working on in pencil, it's hit or miss with the inks. Sometimes I get it, and then other times I just have to use a bucket of whiteout. Okay, so now with wrapping up the pencils, we can bring this into Procreate and start applying the inks. So at this stage of the work, I've taken a picture of it with my iPad Pro. I find that to be quicker than even having to scan it, obviously. The camera on it's really good, so it does a great job of capturing that artwork. Just bring it right in, import it into Procreate, and start inking. Now, here's where I start to notice even more that the eyes are misaligned. It's pretty evident here, but for some reason, I don't know, I just wasn't seeing it as well. And then when I applied the jawline, I really saw it. So I jumped back to the original art, actually crop and move the eyes, and then I re-ink over top. I change the jawline, things like that. So the thing is that when you're doing this, I feel like, okay, part of it is like, oh great, I fixed this inconsistency in symmetry. But then the only bad thing is it's real easy to lose the original energy and life of the sketch. And I did feel like that happened here. So I just want to be upfront and forthcoming with you. There's pros and cons to different aspects of this stuff. It's not as simple as, oh, digital's better, oh, traditional's better. it allows me to fix inconsistencies and symmetry and things about the traditional work. It allows me to apply better color, cleaner inks. I don't know. That's kind of in the middle, because if you get really good at your traditional inks, you don't need digital inks, obviously. But at the same time, it is a streamlined feature of being able to go right from digital inks to your colors, all right there. So there's that. I'm kind of in the mix in the middle of that one. Now, as far as colorization, I just can't color that good with like markers and colored pencils. I mean, they're fun to mess around with, but for me, coloring this way is so much faster, and I have so many more options to introduce a variety of effects. You know, you use clipping masks over top of a solid layer for each area of the work, kind of like flats. You put those clipping masks on. It is super effective. Blending modes, very cool. I mean, your effects are just quick and easy, and you can maneuver between all sorts of different, varieties of those effects. And then, you really can't beat the ability to like just jump in and create some custom brushes as well. So you'll see in a minute, I created a custom brush of spider webs and just drew those in really quickly in the background. And I think it added a neat little effect for it. And it was very, very fast. We're drawing each one of those, or even one of them, and then copying it would have took longer. And obviously I had to take the time to make the initial brush, but now that's done and I can reuse it over and over. By the way, I'll make sure to include it in my free Procreate brush set. There'll be a link in the description box below if you want to check those out on my Gumroad. So coming up to the end of this, now one last thing that I did, I kind of got to the stage and I was like disenchanted with the shape of the eyes. Really, as I compared it to the original, I don't mind it, but they weren't really what I set out for. So to edit that, I made a final copy where everything's solid, and then I grabbed just the eyes and I increased them right here. So again, just one final edit, some additional tweaks to the colors at the very end, things like that. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. I would love to know what you think about the process. If you have any specific questions about the process and other videos, let me know. I'll get that on the channel. Thanks so much for watching. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.